Hare Krishna, Pranam dear devotees. Tanvat, thank you for joining. Let's start with praise. Hare Krishna. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलम् श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining. So we are on the 10th verse of Shri Updeshamrit, Nectar of Instruction. And Mataji gave us a very nice overview on Wednesday. Devi Prakriti Mataji, she gave us the full summary and important points from the translation. And today we'll start reading Srila Prabhupada's purport and try to discuss points from there. This verse, as you all know, is talking about the hierarchy of different types of people. Like the previous verse was talking about the hierarchy in the different places, the dhams, the lila sthalis. And this verse is talking about the hierarchy of the different type of people. Okay, so let's start with recitation of the verse. I'll read it verse, and then whoever wants, you can all take turns to read it. श्री उपदेशामृत की जय, श्री रूप गोस्वामी की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, श्री गुरु महाराज की जय। कर्मेभ्यः परितो हरे प्रियतया व्यक्तिं ययोर्ज्ञानिनस्तेभ्यो ज्ञान विमुक्त भक्ति परमा प्रेमैकनिष्ठास्तथा तेभ्यस्ता पशुपाल पंकजदृशस्ताभ्योऽपि साराधिका पृष्ठा तद्वदीयं तदीय सरसि तां नाश्रयेत् कृति। So would someone like to read the shloka?
Hare Krishna Mataji, shall I?
Yes, Mataji, you can read, and then Sudha Mataji, you can also read.
कर्मेभ्यः परितो हरे प्रियतया व्यक्तिं ययोर्ज्ञानिनास् तेभ्यो ज्ञानविमुक्तभक्तिपरमा प्रेमैकनिष्ठस्तथा तेभ्यस्ता पशुपालपङ्कजदृशास्तभ्योऽपि साराधिका पृष्ठा तद्वादियं तदीया सरसितं नाश्रयेत् कः कृति। Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी प्रणाम्स
No, Mataji.
कर्मेभ्यः परितो हरे प्रियतया व्यक्तिं ज्ञानिनस्तेभ्यो ज्ञानविमुक्तभक्तिपरमा प्रेमैकनिष्ठास्ततः तेभ्यस्ता पशुपालपङ्कजदृशस्ताभ्योऽपि साराधिका प्रेष्टा तत्त्वदीयं तदीयसरसि ताम्नाश्रयेत् कृति
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Mhm. Would someone like to read the translation?
Should I read Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, please.
Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. In the Shastra, it is said that of all types of fruitive workers, he who is advanced in knowledge of the higher values of life is favored by the Supreme Lord Hari. Out of many such people who are advanced in knowledge, Gyanis, one who is practically liberated by virtue of his knowledge may take to devotional service. He is superior to the others. However, one who has actually attained prema, pure love of Krishna, is superior to him. The gopis are exalted above all the advanced devotees because they are always totally dependent upon Sri Krishna, the transcendental cowherd boy. Among the gopis, Srimati Radharani is the most dear to Krishna. Her Kunda lake is as profoundly dear to Lord Krishna as this most beloved of the gopis. Who then will not reside at Radhakund and in a spiritual body surcharged with ecstatic devotional feelings, Prakrita Bhava, render loving service to the divine couple of Sri Sri Radha Govinda, who perform their Ashtakaliya Leela, their eternal eightfold daily pastimes. Indeed, those who execute devotional service on the banks of Radhakund are the most fortunate people in the universe. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So this verse, as I said, is talking about the hierarchy amongst people. So the translation goes, Srila Rupa Goswami is saying that there are fruitive workers. They are, who are working to get karmic results, and they look for their enjoyment. But more, advanced than them are those who are gyanis. Now here, the fruitive workers, which are mentioned, are those who are looking for enjoyment, but they are still doing everything within the purview of the scriptures. They're not breaking any regulations. So those who break the regulations are called vikarmis. So Prabhupada in his purport is going to talk about them too. But the fruitive workers mentioned here are the karma kandis, basically, who are looking for enjoyment in this world. Their focus is not pure devotional service or purification as such. They are looking for enjoyment, but they do follow shastra. So those are the people who are mentioned as karmis here. But better than these people are the jnanis. Okay, and because they are trying to cultivate knowledge, and then once their knowledge is reaching a higher state, and they take to devotional service, then those devotees are higher than jnanis. And amongst the devotees, those who have attained prema, pure love for Krishna, they are more superior to the other devotees. And amongst all the devotees who have attained pure love for Krishna, those devotees of Braj, the gopis, they are totally dependent upon Krishna. They are superior to the other pure devotees. And amongst the gopis, Radharani, Srimati Radharani is the most dear to Krishna, and her lake, her Radhakund, is as profoundly dear to Lord Krishna as she is. So then again, that rhetorical question, that who then will not reside at Radhakund? And there is the feeling of ecstatic devotional service that comes. The spiritual body will be surcharged with ecstatic love. And then who will not really want to stay there and render service to Sri Sri Radha Govinda? And they perform their Ashtakaliya Leela, the eight art prahars. They perform the Leela in all the kals, and then their eternal eightfold daily pastimes. And those who execute devotional service on the banks of Radha Kund are the most fortunate people in the universe. Okay, so this purport, this translation, this verse is talking about the hierarchy of the different people. So we have to understand, first of all, karmis who are following the scriptures, then better than them are jnanis. Better than jnanis are the devotees. Amongst devotees, those who have attained pure love for Krishna, they are best. And amongst all the devotees who have attained pure love for Krishna, the gopis are high, and then Radharani is the best among the gopis, and her kund, her Radha Kund is as dear to Lord Krishna as she is. So who will not want to stay there? Okay. Now let's move on to the purport. Would someone like to read the first paragraph? No? Okay. At the present moment, almost everyone is engaged in some kind of fruitive activity. Those who are desirous of gaining material profits by working are called karmis or fruitive workers. All living entities within this material world have come under the spell of Maya. So that is why we are here, right? We came under the spell of Maya. We had this tendency to lord it over. So we are here. So Prabhupada says that all living entities within this material world have come under the spell of Maya. And this is described in the Vishnu Puran 6:761. विष्णु शक्ति परा प्रोक्ता क्षेत्रज्ञाख्य तथा परा अविद्या कर्म संज्ञान्या तृतीया शक्तिरिष्यते. So sages have divided the energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead into three categories, namely the spiritual energy, marginal energy, and the material energy. The material energy is considered to be the third class energy, Tritiya Shakti. Those living beings within the jurisdiction of the material energy sometimes engage themselves like dogs and hogs in working very hard simply for sense gratification. However, in this life, or after executing pious activities in the next life, some karmis become strongly attracted to performing various kinds of sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas. Thus, on the strength of their pious merit, they are elevated to the heavenly planets. Actually, those who perform sacrifices strictly according to Vedic injunctions are elevated to the moon and planets above the moon. As mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 9.21, Shinni Punyam Martya Lokam Vishanti. After exhausting the results of their so called pious activities, they again return to the earth, which is called Martya Loka, the place of death. Although such persons may be elevated to the heavenly planets by their pious activities, and although they may enjoy life, there are many thousands of years, uh, they may enjoy life there for many thousands of years, they nonetheless must return to this planet when the results of their pious activities are exhausted. Okay. So let's understand this para and then we'll move on to the next paragraph. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that almost everyone is doing fruitive activities. They are doing activities because they want some enjoyment, they want some results. So those who are desirous of gaining material profits by working are called karmis or fruitive workers. And as I mentioned earlier, the karmis mentioned here are the karma kandis, basically those who are looking for enjoyment but they are following the scriptures, because there is another category of karmis who are called the vikarmis. So you may remember in Bhagavad Gita Krishna talks about karma, akarma, vikarma. So vikarma is basically action that is against the scriptural injunction. So those people who are acting without knowledge of scripture, or those who are acting without any regard to the scriptures, going against the conjunctions of the scriptures, they are called the vikarmis. So they act without Vedic knowledge. Now, this kind of activity is not appreciated by the saintly people. This kind of activity is actually leading one to the lower rungs of life, because they will take birth as animals, trees, plants, etc. Now, Vikarmis are, if we see around us, we see mostly, large population of people who are Vikarmis, because sadly, we have gone away from our scriptures. And during the British rule, it was a very, planned kind of, planned kind of a decision they had taken, that, where they were trying to take us away from our scriptures, because they knew that our culture was very deeply rooted in our scriptures. and why they were not able to conquer us the way they had done in other parts of the world. It was because we had a lot of attachment and a lot of faith in our scriptures. Because see, if we see all the different countries in the world wherever the British ruled, there was just mass conversion to Christianity, and very fast the whole country and countries after countries, they were becoming Christian countries very fast. It was happening on a very large scale. But in India, they were not able to do that. And they were finding it very hard to really break us because we had that very strong spiritual base, which was absent in many other parts of the world. So, how to break that, how to break that base? It was their strategy to start making us feel inferior, make us feel inferior so that we think that they are superior, and then we try to follow them and give up the wealth that we actually had, the wealth of our culture. So this was their way of breaking us, one of the ways. And sadly, that worked for many people. And even now, there is a large section of society who thinks that going to temples or reading scripture or following Shastra, fasting on certain days, all these things, even dressing in our traditional attire is backward. And if we follow anything that comes from the Western countries, then we are actually, forward looking. We are really smart and modern people, so called modern people. But we see that this tendency of going away from the scriptures, how much harm it has caused in our society, in the whole world. So uh, that leads to a big population of vikarmis. And that is what we see around us. If we try to tell someone about scripture, also, they think that, oh, this is all just blind faith. What is the point of reading scriptures? What is the point of attending classes? Why should we read scriptures when, it's the time to work, it's the time to enjoy? These kind of notions are very, very popular. But people who don't follow the Shastra, if we really see, then such people are actually leading very miserable lives. We can see within the generations in our own family also. The previous generations, even though economically they were not that well off, financially in many parts, especially in the villages and all, if we go and trace back, we can see that financially things were not that great. We can say that it's better now for many of us, but still people were satisfied, still people were much happier. The divorce rates or the rate at which people are having mental problems now, the suicide rate, and the requirement for therapy even in young kids has increased. These things were unheard of. Therapy and all in our generation was really unheard of, even in the 90s when we were growing up. So I'm sure all of you can relate that how things have gone downhill actually. We think that we are really advancing, we are, getting very close to, where the Western countries are, and, the kind of jobs we have, the kind of clothes we wear, the kind of language we are speaking. We are really becoming very modern. But we have to see that is it really doing any good for us at the mental level? Are we really happier? Because that actually should be the parameter at which we measure, right? Are we happier now? So it's a very it's a very honest question that requires an honest answer. And if we ask this question to many people, I'm sure we'll get lots of answers where people are actually saying that they're not happy. But still, in spite of being in that condition, people are not realizing that the solution is very simple. We just need to go back to our spiritual roots. The problem is that many people consider scriptures as binding us, like it's giving too many restrictions, because scriptures will have do's and don'ts, right? You should not do this, you should do this. Those things are there, but the scriptures are actually like our mothers. Our mother, if a mother embraces a child, sometimes a child may feel that this is a restriction on me, I'm being bound. But the embrace of the mother is actually for protection of the child. In the same way, we may feel that the scriptures are giving us too many restrictions. But, too many restrictions about how we should act, how we should not act. But we have to understand that this is also for our protection. We may see that as a restriction, but it is actually for our protection. And when we go out of those bounds, then we create suffering for us, which is what we are seeing around us. So we should see scriptures in that line, like a mother. If a mother is telling us not to do something, it is for our own good. And if she's telling us to do something, again, it is for our own good. So people sadly who do not follow the scriptures, they are the vikarmis because they are breaking the laws of God. And that is the misfortune of the people today. And people who are going against the scriptures, even in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says in chapter 4, verse number 40, that Agyas cha shattadhanas cha samshayatma vinashyati nayam lokosti na paro na sukha samshayatmana. So Lord Krishna says that, but ignorant and faithless persons who doubt the revealed scriptures do not attain God consciousness. They fall down. For the doubting soul, there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next. So, by doubting the scriptures, what are we attaining? We are not happy in our current state, and we are not going to get anything good when this life ends also. Okay, so due to being away from the scriptures, we have unlimited desires, we have uncontrolled mind, and that is why there's so much mental and psychological problem in the world around us. So that is a problem we are seeing on a very large scale these days. But the whole reason is that we have gone away from our spiritual roots. So, like I mentioned, that the word karmis mentioned here does not refer to vikarmis. Okay, it refers to the religious materialists. They are materialists, but they are religious. They are superior. Definitely, the karmis mentioned here, they are superior to vikarmis. Both karmis and vikarmis are focused on material enjoyment, but the difference is that karmis are focused on getting material enjoyment within the boundaries of dharma. They don't break the laws of dharma like we karmis do. So this position of the karmis is better because at least they're not going to, they're not on the sinning side. And the best thing about our Vedic scriptures is that it gives us philosophy about God realization, self realization, but it also gives us information or knowledge about how to live in this world, which is absent in many Abrahamic religions of the world. See, because many religions, it's like if you don't follow what God is saying, if you're not following the path of God, then that's it, you're going to hell. Now, there may be people who are not that devoted to God yet. They are not exactly on the path towards God, but they can still do some activities, they can still engage in some activities as prescribed in the Vedas, which will bring about purification in their consciousness. So then gradually they will come towards God realization, the path of God realization. So the Vedic scriptures are very vast. That is, this is one reason why many times Sanatan Dharma, or as it is called, Hinduism, is criticized by many people also because they say that, oh, there so many gods and goddesses, there's so many different ways, there's so many different pujas, sacrifices, yajnas, all these are prescribed. It's just way too much. It's way too much. It's a way, confusing. Why can't it be simple, like, for example, say Christianity or Islam, where, it is just very simple. Okay, this is what you have to do. Everyone does the same fasting, everyone does the same festival, everyone does worship in one way. Why can't it be like that? So actually, that is not something negative about the Vedic scriptures. That is actually the all-inclusive nature of the Vedic scriptures. We have to learn, and we should know this reason why our scriptures are like this, so that we can defend when such arguments come. Many people, even people who are Hindus, they will criticize it. Oh, there's so many things. One is doing this puja, one is doing that puja, one is reading that scripture, the other is reading that scripture. That is required because everyone's consciousness is on a different level. We cannot call all the students and give them 11th grade, curriculum or 12th grade curriculum. They don't know. This is what you have to study. Otherwise, you will fail. No, there are people, there will be children who need to go to LKG, UKG, nursery, then go first. second, third, and come to 12th grade. In the same way, the consciousness of the people is very different. So, for not, for everyone, it may not be possible to directly come to the path of God realization. So, then what? Is it the end of the road for those people? No, the Vedas are giving them also something. Okay, do some fasting, do some yajna, do some sacrifices, give some dan, do something that will at least purify your mind a little, and it will increase your mode of goodness. See, we cannot come to the path of God realization if we are just stuck in the mode of ignorance and in the mode of passion. We have to come to sattva, then we can go to Shuddha sattva. So, to come to sattva, there has to be some path, some way has to be there. And that is what is given in our Vedic scripture. So, that is actually a very good thing about our scriptures, which sadly many people take as negative. Like, for example, our Varnashram Dharma as prescribed in our scriptures. That is such a wonderful spiritual arrangement because that facilitates our, people to live peacefully in this world, but also advance spiritually. It's the social model that is given in order to facilitate the onward spiritual journey. So, yes, according to our nature, we can get some work, we can do some work in the world, but also, there is the angle of God consciousness, how God is there as the master, how everyone, is actually coming under the Lord, how God is completely in control. That angle is also there. So all these things are there in our Vedic scriptures. So it has to be followed. And if one is not following the scriptures, then one ends up being a vikarmi. Now, if we see from the point of view of Bhagavatam, then Bhagavatam calls Karma Kanda also as Ketava Dharma. It is not true religion. Yeah, because it is not actually going to lead us to, uh, you know, lead us to our self realization, God realization, or to love for Krishna directly. It doesn't do it directly. That's why Bhagavatam calls it, a cheating religion or Katav Dharma. But we have to understand that not everybody is at the level of Bhagavatam. So there are other ways provided in the Vedic texts which enable people to progress materially and spiritually so that at one day, at some point in their life, they will be able to come to the level of Bhagavatam. Okay. So, but Karma Kandis, like it is mentioned here, they are definitely better than Vikarmis because at least they know that God is under control. They trust in the higher sanction. They know that there is a higher power. I mean, realizing that and acting according to that itself is a very big thing and largely missing in the world today. So the karmis, the karm kandis, they are definitely much more informed. They will do yagyas, etc. And then they get elevation to the higher planets. And there they enjoy their punyas. So like in Prabhupada's purport, it is mentioned that in after executing pious activities in the next life, some karmis become strongly attracted to performing various kinds of sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas. Thus, on the strength of their pious merit, they are elevated to the heavenly planets. Okay. Now, actually, those who perform sacrifices strictly according to Vedic injunctions are elevated to the moon and planets above the moon. Okay, so they may go to heavenly planets like the moon planets, Svargaloka, etc. But that place, as you all know, Svargaloka or the other heavenly planets, they are not places of permanent residence. As soon as the results of the so called pious activities are exhausted, they again return to the earth, which is called the place of death, Martyaloka. And although these people may be elevated to heavenly planets by their pious activities, and although they may enjoy life there for many thousands of years, now the lifespan there is very, very long, but they will still have to return because once their pious activities get exhausted, they will come back. Okay, so the next paragraph in the purport, this is the position of all karmis, including those who act piously and those who act impiously. On this planet we find many businessmen, politicians, and others who are simply interested in material happiness. They attempt to earn money by all means, not considering whether such means are pious or impious. Such people are called karmis or gross materialists. Among the karmis are some vikarmis, people who act without the guidance of Vedic knowledge. Those who act on the basis of Vedic knowledge perform sacrifices for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu and to receive benedictions from him. In this way, they are elevated to higher planetary systems. Such karmis are superior to the vikarmis, for they are faithful to the directions of the Vedas and are certainly dear to Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita 4:11, Krishna says, Ye yatamam prapadyante tam sathaiva bhajameham. In whatever way one surrenders unto me, I reward him accordingly. Krishna is so kind that he fulfills the desires of the karmis and jnanis, not to speak of the bhaktas. Although the karmis are sometimes elevated to higher planetary systems, as long as they remain attached to fruitive activities, they must accept new material bodies after death. If one acts piously, he can a new body among the demigods in the higher planetary systems, or he may attain some other position in which he can enjoy a higher standard of material happiness. On the other hand, those who are engaged in impious activities are degraded and take birth as animals, trees, and plants. Thus, those fruitive actors who do not care for the Vedic directions, we karmis, are not appreciated by learned, saintly persons. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 554, Nunam pramatta kurute vikarma yad indriya pritaya apranoti na sadhu manyeyata atmanoyam asan viklesho kleshada asadeha. Materialists who work hard like dogs and hogs simply for sense gratification are actually mad. They simply perform all kinds of abominable activities simply for sense gratification. Materialistic activities are not at all worthy of an intelligent man, for as a result of such activities, one gets a material body which is full of misery. The purpose of human life is to get out of the threefold miserable conditions which are concomitant with material existence. Unfortunately, fruitive workers are mad to earn money and acquire temporary material comforts by all means. Therefore, they risk being degraded to lower species of life. Materialists foolishly make many plans to become happy in this material world. They do not stop to consider that they will live only a certain number of years, out of which they must spend the major portion acquiring money for sense gratification. Ultimately, such activities end in death. Materialists do not consider that after giving up the body, they may become embodied as lower animals, plants, or trees. Thus, all their activities simply defeat the purpose of life. Not only are they born ignorant, but they act on the platform of ignorance, thinking that they are getting material benefits in the shape of skyscraper buildings, big cars, honorable positions, and so on. The materialists do not know that in the next life they will be degraded and that all their activities simply serve as parabhava. Parabhava, their defeat. This is the verdict of Srimad Bhagavatam 555. Parabhavas tavat abodha jata. So very wonderful points in Srila Prabhupada's book for this second para that this is the position of the karmis. Now this for some people actually attaining a heavenly planet itself is like the ultimate thing. Because, yes, the level of enjoyment there is definitely much more than here, what we are experiencing. And there is no disease, there is no old age also there. So, when they are, when a person goes to heaven, some heavenly planet, then they are in their youth and they just enjoy everything. So, it's not just the absence of these problems of disease and death, but the kind of enjoyment one gets there that also is of a much higher grade than what we get in the world here. That is why it seems very attractive to many people. And, in fact, many people, they don't want to go beyond that also. So just live your life according to scripture and go to the heavenly planets. That's what they want. For many people, that is what their thought process is. And Prabhupada is saying that there are many people who are just interested in material happiness. They just want to gain money by any kind of means, whether it is pious or impious. So these are the gross materialists. So up, amongst these gross materialists, those who are still following the scripture at least, they are the karmis. Okay. And those who act on the basis of Vedic knowledge perform sacrifices for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu and to receive benedictions from him. So these are the karma kandis. And by doing this process, they are elevated to higher planetary systems. Now, these karmis are definitely more superior to vikarmis, as we have already discussed, because they are faithful to the Vedas. And this very wonderful verse from Srimad Bhagavad Gita 4:11, where Lord Krishna says that in whatever way one surrenders unto me, I reward them accordingly. So it is up to us, how do we want to surrender? What is our approach towards Lord Krishna? Are we really looking for just a peaceful life here and then just go to the heavenly planet, enjoy more sense pleasure there? Or if we take to the process of devotional service, then the Lord is going to reward us accordingly. So his promise never fails. It's the only problem is where are we targeting our energy? What are we actually doing? Okay. So if our whole world revolves around Lord Krishna, if our whole daily schedule is centered in such a way, I mean, it's planned in such a way that everything centers around Krishna. Then we'll see the mercy of Lord Krishna will definitely come because he is very, very merciful. Only thing that lacks is our determination. Krishna is so kind that he fulfills the desires of the karmis and the jnanis, not to speak of the bhaktas. So one who is totally dependent upon Krishna, Krishna will definitely take care of such a devotee. And again, Prabhupada mentions this point that uh, sometimes they may go to higher planetary systems. And as long as they remain attached to fruitive activities, they will again come back. They will take other material bodies and again go on in the same cycle. If one acts piously, he can attain a new body among the demigods in the higher planetary systems, or he may attain some other position in which he can enjoy a higher standard of material happiness. So someone may actually think that, oh, this opportunity of becoming a deva is also there. Yes, it is definitely there, but that again is not permanent. That also has an ending date. So Prabhupada is saying that those who are engaged in impious activities are degraded and take birth as animals. So, amongst the karmis, those who are acting according to scriptural injunctions, they who are, have that kind of faith and they act like that piously, completely according to Shastra and Dharma, then they get higher standard of material happiness. On the other hand, those who are doing impious activities, they will take birth amongst the animals, trees, and plants. So they will lose this big opportunity of the human form of life. Thus, those fruitive actors who do not care for the Vedic directions, Vikarmis, are not appreciated by learned, saintly persons. So naturally, the learned, saintly persons, they know the truth about life. They know if we act in a certain way, what the result is going to be. So they will definitely not appreciate the actions of the Vikarmis because they're going against the scriptures. Srila Prabhupada again, quotes another verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 554. Nunam pramatta kurute vikarmam yadindriya pritaya pranoti na sadhu manye yatatmanoyam asanna bikleshadas deha. So the materialists who work hard like dogs and hogs simply for sense gratification are actually mad because they're doing such kind of abominable activities just for sense gratification. That's what we see around us also, right? Just to make money, people will do all kinds of scams. If someone in my family is not giving me joy, is not giving me happiness, I'll be very abusive towards them. And in some cases, sadly, it even goes to the point where someone murders a family member or another person who comes in their way of material enjoyment. So they are just for their happiness, they do all kinds of abominable activities. Materialistic activities are not at all worthy of an intelligent man, for as a result of such activities, one gets a material body which is full of misery. So if someone has this at least this much sense that this is not all in all, this cannot be the ultimate thing. There is something definitely out there, beyond what I can see, my family, my enjoyment. Apart from that, there is definitely which is way bigger, which is way higher. But sadly, many times we just ignore those things. Okay, so then Prabhupada says that unfortunately, roti workers are mad to earn money acquire material comfort. They just want to do it at any cost. So they get degraded to the lower species of life. Materialists foolishly make many plans to become happy in this material world. And I think this keeps happening, right? We think, okay, this particular thing did not give me joy. I'll do this. Yeah, I'll do this. I'll do this. Then, this will give me joy. If this is the only problem in my life, if this is rectified, I'll be very happy. If that is rectified, I'll be very happy. If I get a job, I'll be very happy. Then one will want a nice spouse. Then one will want nice children. Then, children should also be good. I should have a big house. I should have a good car. All these things. There is just no no limit to it. But materialists, they foolishly make many plans to become happy in this material world. We don't even know our lifespan, but we just keep planning for our material enjoyment. They don't consider that they will live only for a certain number of years. This life is actually ultimately going to end. But they spend major portion of their life acquiring money for sense gratification. So ultimately, these activities result in death. There is nothing that really comes out of it. So materialists do not consider that after giving up the body, they may become embodied as lower animals, plants, and trees. So it's not like, okay, now I got a human form of life, so it is just going to stay with me. No, this form also is temporary. Okay, if our actions are not as a human being should act, then this body is also going to be taken away. Okay, and then one may become a plant, an animal, or some tree, and or in this way, all their activities simply defeat the purpose of life. Not only are they born ignorant, but they act on the platform of ignorance. Okay, so it's their mind is definitely under ignorance, but the activities also are doing which are on the platform of ignorance, thinking that they are getting material benefits in the shape of skyscraper, buildings, big cars, honorable position, and so on. The materialists do not know that in the next life they will be degraded, and that all their activities simply service Prabhava, their defeat. It is the verdict of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so the materialists, they're just following this rat race. Okay, I have to go, I have to work in the office, I have to earn money, and then I have to enjoy from that money. I should buy this, I should buy that. In this way, we have increased our needs to such a great extent. And now we are just stuck in that whole web where one is just thinking, okay, if not this, something else, something else. Now, thinking of that something else, we have taken so many births because at the end of the life, one realizes that this is not actually giving me happiness. This house or this car or this jewelry or these saris, they're not actually giving me happy. Okay, so what is it? What is it that actually is going to make me happy? So some are fortunate enough who get devotee association, who start asking the right questions, and they actually come on the right path. But then there are also some who just, probably join it as a matter of a social convention or just to, have some company around, and they're not really serious. They don't really care that what is going to happen in their next life, how degraded things are, how all these things are going to happen. They just don't think like that. And then that the problem that comes from not giving it a thought is then our actions. It really translates into our actions, and that can really make or break things. Our actions, our words. So that's what's mentioned here. That materialists, they don't think, okay, what is going to happen in the next life? Who knows? Let's just eat, drink, and be merry in this particular life. That is like a child, who just wants and intentionally goes and touches the fire because it just looks very attractive and bright. Now, the problem is if the child touches the fire, the child is definitely going to get burned. In the same way, we are also running up around, running after so many things in our life which are actually not relevant at all. But the problem is that we have gotten into this psyche, it has come like that. We have learned to be like this for so long that we don't think that there's anything wrong with this kind of living, where we're just thinking about myself. Now, in one family, also, if we see that if everyone is just thinking about themselves, not giving any consideration to the feelings, desires, or aspirations of the other family members, then what is going to happen? So We have to understand that what are we doing? Why are we doing what we are doing? Are we really thinking just about ourselves, or are we thinking about what are my actions going to lead me to? If we are reading scriptures, if we are reading Bhagavad Gita, other Vedic texts, then we should become very, very conscious of our actions. And as we are reading this hierarchy that is given in this verse, we have to know that if we are still on a stage where we are breaking the rules and regulations of the Shastra, then I'm really, really downtrodden. I'm really at the lowest level. There are so many levels above mine. So can I just, should I just keep acting selfishly, and should I just keep disregarding the scriptures and acting the way I want? Okay, if we do that, we'll be vikarmis, and then we'll go and get another birth as an animal or a tree, something like that. And then we've lost such a big opportunity of this human form of life. So we should know that, oh, just if I'm just at the karma kand level, yes, definitely that is better than being a vikarmi. But if I'm just stuck at the karma kanda level, then there are so many levels above mine. Jnani, and then bhakta, and then bhakti also. There is so much of purification that one can bring, how much deep one can go in bhakti. That itself is very, very huge. And then above that is the gopi, other gopis, and Radharani, and her kunda is so great. So this should make us very, very very responsible in our actions. First of all, we have to do away with all the actions which are against the scriptures. And secondly, we have to try and lift ourselves just from the karma kanda level also, and not stagnate there. See, the purpose of Vedas in giving us different paths is not that, we take to one path and just be stuck in that. No, the progression is desired. Our consciousness should move from just the gross material things to a point where we actually start questioning, who am I really? Who is God? What is my relation to God? How can I know the words of God? How can I understand the words of God? So our consciousness should keep, and keep elevating in the same way like here. A karmi should not just be happy, okay, I'm following the scriptures. Okay, fine. That's the best I'm doing. And if I do it very nicely, I'm going to go to to heavenly planets and enjoy a lot. If we just think till that point, then we are missing a very important thing, which is the other side of the story. And the other side is that even if we do this, even if we achieve this, ultimately we have to come back. It is only when we reach the spiritual world that one doesn't come back. But in all these heavenly planets, they're all material planets. So one will definitely fall down. So we should not just be satisfied at being a karmi, but we should really work hard toward getting the knowledge of Krishna, going to the level of bhakti and devotion to Krishna. Okay, so we'll not read further. We'll just stop here, because then the discussion about the Gyanis will come. So today we discussed about karmis, and how karmis are actually the karma kandis who are following the scriptures. They are doing everything within the purview of the Shastra. They're not breaking any codes of dharma. So such people, if they're doing it very nicely, they can get elevation to the heavenly planet. But that is again just temporary. Okay. So better than a karmi is a jnani. So that section we'll read next week. Okay. So we'll stop here. If there are any questions, any comments, any realizations you want to share.
Mataji,
Yes, Mataji.
in text 10,
Yes.
they said, no, it's inform, they've said here, then, wait, 1 meter, about the
Yes.
Radha Kunda, in that page 84. Yeah, they say Aprakrit Bhava and Asakta
Ashtakaliya
Leela.
Leela.
Yeah, sorry, Ashtakali Leela. Then it says the eternal eightfold, no, indeed, those who execute devotional service on the banks of Radha Kunda are the most fortunate people in the universe. What is this devotional service? How do you execute devotional service? Just my curiosity, I want to know, Mataji.
Yeah,
Because we
Mataji.
write camp or what? Because just outside, there are those girls, they are selling flowers and lamps in a small thali.
and they say you do your this thing and then come and return the thali. They take 10 rupees. Is that beyond that there's anything, Mataji?
Mataji, devotional service will that encapsulates everything we are doing, like chanting, deity worship, then I mean, the devotees who are very advanced, who are living at Radha Kund, they would have reached a level of bhav where they are, even able to meditate on the Lord. But devotional service includes everything, all kinds of sevas. Even chanting. Chanting is really the best form of
Yeah.
devotional service one can do, and we see that in the lives of our acharyas, the six Goswamis also, they were not just sitting idly and meditating; they were also chanting, right? So best thing that we can do is we can go there and chant, because other things, like you said, that doing aarti of Radha Kund, all that is also very nice, because Radha Kund is worshipable for us. So if we go there and if we can do aarti, which is being facilitated by someone who's bona fide. Because the problem nowadays is, if we go to Vrindavan or all these places, there'll be so many people, we don't really know who's actually authentic, who is not. So if we
Yeah.
know a proper person who's just not after money, who's actually just helping, facilitating our doing of Aarti of Radha Kund, yes, we should do that. Is also devotional service. But if we can go there and we can chant, actually that is very, very nice. So even when we are here, when we are not physically present at Radha Kund, how do we say that our consciousness should be there? Right? We
Yes,
should be
yes,
thinking
Mataji.
of Radha Kund. So how
Yeah.
do we serve Radha Kund by being here? It is through our chanting, through our reading, through if
Yeah.
one is doing any services, like any deity service or offering of bhoga, reading of scriptures, attending classes like this, you are doing devotional
Mm.
service. And if in your heart you are thinking of Radha Kund, then you are doing the devotional service in Radha Kund. One can really be outside Radha Kund, and yet always a consciousness can always be there, like Prabhupada. His heart, his mind was always in Vrindavan. So us, our mind may waver, but we have to keep bringing back our mind. So when we are chanting also, we should think that, okay, if I am chanting nicely, then I'm making my heart like Vrindavan. So then I'll be like, it will be like me chanting in Vrindavan. Okay, so Mataji, devotional
Yes,
service is
Mataji.
everything. It encapsulates
Yeah.
all these activities that we are doing. And most, simple and very powerful for our Kali Yuga is chanting. So we can do that. So there are many devotees who go there and sit at Radha Kund or near Yamuna Ji and chant nicely.
We
Many,
install Japamala also there. We just
yes,
dip it
they
in the Radha
must.
Kunda and put
Yes,
it back
they
in the
did
bag.
that. Yes, Mataji, we should do that. So all these things, Mataji, and there are many devotees who are like who write books also about devotion. So all these things are devotional service. And being away physically, we can try thinking about Radha Kund as much as possible, and do our other sevas in a mood to please Srimati Radharani.
Mother, when you pass from Radha Kund, when you go to Sham Kund, right? You have to just
Yes.
and then go there. There near
Hmm.
Sham Kund, there's one temple. You pass that, that comes before the Sham Kund, and then
Mm-hmm.
whether you go there or not, we didn't go because the Prabhu came with us. He said, no need, just go and see Sham Kund. We saw
Mm-hmm.
that. Sorry. And when he came out, there was
Hmm.
like a canopy made. In that they say
Mm-hmm.
either Radha Krishna ka paam hai, either paisa dalo, ye karo, wo karo. Then there was another
Mm-hmm.
temple. So we felt, that something was fishy. But still,
Mm-hmm.
because he kept on insisting, then
Mm-hmm.
we just put 100 rupees there, But it didn't look like like padukas of Radha and Krishna. They look so small. So,
Right.
don't know whether I should say or not, but I heard there are a lot of cheaters also there. So they should be very careful. So we asked this
Yes.
Prabhu, he said, yes, sab choro, just chalo. No need of all that. But I gave
That's what
100 rupees for that. I just put it on and he said, when he told that Radha Krishna feet, I just kept 100 rupees and kept some flowers and walked away. So you don't
Yes,
know
ma'am.
actually what is doing.
Yes,
Huh?
it's very hard to find out, Mataji. Very hard to
Very
know.
hard.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's
why
like
I
a
think
because
the good thing was you were with a devotee who actually knew the place. So that is best,
yeah,
we don't get misled.
yes.
Yeah.
And so many places, Mata, they keep on asking for money, But there are too many people. So we should, when you're going, we should take some change, 10 rupees, 20 rupees, like that, little coins,
Yeah,
because there are
Mataji, that's
small
yeah,
children
around
also want to come and
Govardhan.
put tilk on your
Correct.
face. So we can't
Yeah.
refuse, we just give them a little money, they'll put the tilk. But the Radha
Yeah,
Kunda
that's
was
why
our
when we go to the ISKCON temple, you're
yeah,
free of all this. You can just
yeah,
take darshan and
yes,
have
yes.
kirtan. You're not worried about, somebody who's just coming and telling you do this, do that. It's just
Yeah. Last time,
concentrating.
Mataji, I went to this temple. I stayed there for 3 hours. I saw the entire aarti, then the second aarti, that is
Yeah, it's a
darshan
very
aarti,
different atmosphere,
Yeah,
Mataji, compared to the other.
yeah. Shingar aarti, sab dekhe, took prasad. I bought a
Mm.
book also. I was very
Yeah,
satisfied that day. And
yeah.
they take around the temple. I watched all that, and then they gave me a rose flower also from Prabhupada's feet.
Yes, Mataji. I mean, we cannot really explain how
Yeah, I
spiritually
didn't feel
we
like
charge.
leaving the temple also, but I had to go back.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was
So
dawn, that it was
that's what Mataji. Now you come back, but you're longing to go back. So
yeah,
we should.
my heart is there. Every day I
Yeah.
think
So
of,
this
I
is
think of
this
Prabhupada,
is a very
I
good
think of
feeling to
temple.
be always missing Vrindavan.
Yeah,
And when you're in Vrindavan, amazing. But if you're not in Vrindavan, we should be always missing Vrindavan. So that
Mataji,
feeling
it
of
gives such a
longing,
feeling. It gives you such a feeling, Mataji, you can't get over. Your focus is only there. Mind is only there.
Haribo, that's wonderful, Mataji. You're very fortunate. Yeah, very nice. Very nice. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we'll continue from this point on next week. Okay, let's stop here today. Just one thing I wanted to ask if in this coming week, it I may not be able to be there. We'll definitely have the classes, but would it be possible for someone to share the screen for the devotees who are taking the class? Is it possible for anyone to share the letter of instruction, verse, and purport from Veda base? No. Okay. Okay, then we'll figure something out. Okay. Okay, so thank you all. Thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you, Mataji.
श्रीयुक्तेशामृतस्य वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय
जय
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji,
Thank you,
Dandavat Pranamam.
Mataji.
Thank you.
Pranam, Mataji.